Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about something that I haven't talked about in a while, but I know it'll be super beneficial for you guys. I want to talk about how anxiety affects our relationships, specifically on that parent-child level. For those of you who are new, welcome. Welcome to our family, welcome to our community. My name is Bridget, and I'm a parent and mindset coach. For those of you who are returning subscribers, welcome back. And if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. I post videos every single Friday. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So for those of you who are new and don't know my story or my background or why I do what I do, I'm gonna leave a video linked up here for you to watch. But today I want to talk about that story with you guys. I want to be real and honest and share my vulnerabilities with you because I know that helps you relate, and I want to bring it back to the reason why the things that I talk about on this channel is so effective. So growing up, at the time I didn't realize it, but my mom struggled with anxiety and depression and probably bipolar disorder. There are a lot of things going on. Growing up, I thought my mom was just the mean mom. I thought she was strict, and I thought she was just, the angry type. And I thought her drinking during the day, her being detached, her always yelling, always invalidating my emotions and my sister's emotions, I thought that was normal behavior for a parent. And I really didn't realize that it wasn't normal and that she actually had struggles until I was like 18 years old. I ended up moving out from my mom's house when I was about 16, and that was about a year after my dad passed. She'd always been going through her own personal issues. She had a rough childhood as well. And after my dad passed, that was almost the breaking point for her. And so she really completely just cut herself off. She was drinking a lot during the day, and at night would come home late, forget about doing certain things that a mom should be doing, especially having a 13-year-old child and a 16-year-old child. So I told my aunt and uncle about it, and they were super supportive. They took me and my other two sisters in, and I lived with them for about 4 years after that. And so that, developing that communication between this person in my life who was taking on the parental role but was not really a parent was very difficult, especially because I also had already developed my own issues at that point, having lived with my mom for so long. I talked about this in the video that I posted 2 weeks ago, but I was diagnosed with selective mutism at age 5, so I had already been struggling with social anxiety, but anxiety in general started to manifest itself in other areas of my life. Over the years, I've been trying to re-educate myself and re-nurture myself. Because of the fact that my mom had gone through her struggles, I really wasn't taught to love myself or value myself or have, that feeling of self-worth. So I really had to develop that on my own, and yeah, it sucked. And I see myself now having those same difficulties that my mom had in my relationships, in every single relationship, or at least I used to. I had a really tough time letting people in at first, and then I became overly attached to someone. And that in itself affects you. It affects you on every level. Maybe you're the type of person who becomes overly attached like I do. Or maybe you're the type of person who feels like you need to isolate. Anxiety has a way of creeping in on our relationships. It has a way of cutting us off. I've dealt with it. I've seen my mom deal with it. And I know a lot of people who struggle with it. Because my anxiety was a social anxiety, it really manifested itself in my relationships. I used to be the type of person who would hate talking on the phone, who would hate going out in public, who literally couldn't do anything by themselves because I was overly attached to the people in my life. I needed them for support, for constant validation, for so many other things. This is probably true for you guys too. I'm hoping I'm not the only one here. But it also led to this really destructive behavior. There was a period where I was always angry and destructive and just like shutting people out at every point that I could. Every little thing that went wrong in my life, I would blame it on other people rather than taking responsibility for it. I watched as my mom did the same thing. When every little thing went wrong, she would take it out on us. She would scream at us. And there were just so many instances that I remember where it was scary and I didn't know what was going on. She never shared with us what was going on. And I think there was for the majority of it, I don't think she wanted to admit to herself what was going on. Knowing what I know now, I know that it probably wasn't her fault. And she didn't deal with it in the way that she needed to deal with it. Luckily, I'm kind of a success story based on, what other people experience growing up with childhood trauma and having a not so great relationship with their parents. It could have been a lot worse for me. I wanted to take charge because I knew that if I had continued going down the path that I was continuing to go down, I don't even want to picture where I would be, to be honest with you guys. I was also super lucky because my sisters now deal with their own emotional issues and mental illnesses in a very different way than I do. Both of my sisters struggled with depression as well, one more so than the other. Another one was diagnosed with PTSD. So there are a lot of things that we have going on, and I was luckily one of the better ones. But I want to let you know how valuable it is to be working on yourself consistently and taking responsibility for, things that are going on up here. And it's hard. I know it's hard. It was hard for my mom. I know it now. It's hard to deal with and kind of internalize. The two biggest things that work for me, if I can just let you in on those two big takeaways that I had, was being self-aware. I remember when I was stuck in that anxious and doubtful period of my life where I thought everyone was judging me and criticizing me and just looking at me, like every move I made, everything that I put on my body, every word that came out of my mouth, I thought I was being put on display. And it's such a crazy thing to think about because no one pays as much attention as you think they're paying to you. And coming from someone who has social anxiety, that's a really big thing of me to say because that's the epitome of social anxiety, thinking that you're being judged. And when I took that perspective that we as a collective, a human collective, we all struggle, we all have our own insecurities, our own doubts, and our own worries. In the grand scheme of things, no one is really going to care what you say unless you're talking bad about someone or making an idiot out of yourself, really. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. No one really cares that much. And we're all struggling. We all have our own problems to deal with. So when you take perspective on it and really take a step back at your life, really start to figure out, okay, we're all dealing with stuff. We're all dealing with shit. The second thing I want to tell you guys is that it's critical to develop that self-awareness and understand how you behave as a person with anxiety. What does it look like to you in your relationships? Are you the type of person that's overly dependent? Are you the type of person that isolates yourself? Are you the type of person who gets super aggressive and angry and frustrated and you overreact to things? Are you the type of person that feels like they always have this tension between someone in your relationship, like a spouse or your child or your friend? Figure out what makes you work, what makes you tick. The moment I figured out my patterns as someone with anxiety, I was able to then, try to develop a plan of action to manage my anxiety. figure out who I needed to talk to, who I needed to look for support, what kinds of things that I needed to realize about myself and about my thoughts in general. Those are the things that I was able to look for. I knew I was the type of person to isolate myself, to think badly about myself, and I knew that stopped me from doing other things. I also knew I was the type of person to get very angry and blame other people for my problems. And because of that, I knew that I needed to start taking more responsibility for things that were going on in my life. I also knew that I wasn't always destined for failure because of my upbringing. Instead, I wanted to change that. I wanted to be the success story. I wanted it so bad because of where I was. And yeah, you could say I'm on my way to get there, especially, comparing my situation to a lot of other people's. But it's not something that, I had out of luck. I worked for it. I put in the effort. I wanted to change. I wanted to grow as a person. And I did it. I know this video was kind of all over the place, and I apologize for that. I wanted to make this more of a casual, relaxed video for you guys. And this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. I used to make a lot of videos on this topic about how it affects the parent-child relationship. Anxiety in general affects the parent-child relationship. And so I think these are going to be some of the videos that I talk about, maybe go more in depth on some of these topics. But let me know what you guys think about it. I really obviously want to make videos that are going to be helpful for you guys. So if this is not something that you guys are concerned about, that's okay. But if it is, feel free to drop a comment or start a conversation going. Let's open up these topics and talk about it more. Before I end today's video, I just wanted to quickly announce that spots for my free coaching have opened up. I'm going to leave the link in the description. And if you're wondering who this is for any parents, specifically moms, who are struggling on their personal development journey, who deal with anxiety and want to have better relationships in their life and want to feel like they can be empowered over their anxiety. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys got some use out of it as always, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.